Today on Locked On Rockies, it was the first Coors Field Classic of the season as the Colorado Rockies offense wakes up and outslugs the number one offense in Major League Baseball. Is this a turning point for the offense? I certainly hope so.
You are Locked On Rockies, your daily Colorado Rockies podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Rock on Rockies fans, welcome into the Locked On Rockies podcast for today, the 7th day of April in the year 2026. I am your host of the Locked On Rockies podcast, Paul Holden, your Rockies fan extraordinaire, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where you can find your team every day. And if your team is the Colorado Rockies, guess what? You're in the right spot, because that's what we do around here, free and streaming on your favorite streaming services and on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel, where you can be part of the show. You can fire off your Rockies hot takes. You can let me know what's on your mind when it comes to the Colorado Rockies. And on today's show, we're talking about the Rockies taking down the Astros in a slugfest at Coors Field. A lot of good, a lot of ugly. Actually, not a lot of ugly. I'll say this. That's a great offense that rolled into town, and the Rockies went round for round and ended up coming out on top with the victory. But Zach Agnos, a little bit of worry continues to creep in for him as his rough start to the season continues. But we'll talk about that. Plus, get your reaction to the strikeouts from over the weekend and all that and more on today's episode on Locked On Rockies. But before we go any further, I want to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $250 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. And we will get started with the Rockies' big inning here. Now, Ryan Feltner returns here as we were wondering what was going to be the status of Ryan Feltner after taking the line drive off of the hip butt area there. But he ends up coming in and not a great start, but a good start against a good offense. Listen, this is what it's not perfect, right? It's blemish. It's you're flirting right with that deadly 5-run spot, right? But he allows 4 and 5 and a third, 7 hits, 2 walks, and a strikeout there. But overall, again, coming into this ball game, the Astros' best offense in baseball to start the season. They just finished coming back a couple of times against the Athletics there, not beating them in the finale, but certainly have been scoring a lot of runs. And we know, and it started off right away, right? Doubles off the wall, and Jose, Altuve. I mean, geez, you're hearing it from the Rockies fans as well. But the script kind of started playing out how you thought. We've seen this Rockies team go up against the great Astros, and we know how it's gone. But then for things to get stabilized, especially from Jimmy Herget coming in there, and he does give up the run on the sac fly. It was that 5th inning though, where the Rockies responded and came back. That set the tone and set the stage for the rest of the game. It put the Astros on their heels. It was the counter punch that the Rockies have very rarely thrown this year, especially in games. We've really only seen 2 games get out of hand, really, in the Phillies game. And if you want to say that a Blue Jays game where it was, I wouldn't say out of hand, but where it was, 4+ run lead that the opposition had. But then for the Rockies to come up and leading into this too, doing some smart, effective things, getting some hits, missing out with runners in scoring position, going into the 5th inning, being 2 for 31, I believe the broadcast said, with runners in scoring position. But then in that inning to come out on the other side of that, going 6 for 10 with runners in scoring position, including home runs, you get the RBI double off the bag. You just need to put the ball in play and the good things happen. The Rockies still strike out 9 times in this game, but it just goes to show you that importance there. The broadcast was mentioning how close the ball has come to hitting bases. Boom, it happens right there. You get the great 2-out rally. You get you bring up, I believe they said 14 batters in that inning. An insane run that's highlighted by the fact that Troy Johnston has one of the more impressive offensive nights I've really seen on a baseball diamond. How many times have you seen a perfect bunt and a home run hit by the same guy in the same game? he's certainly making a case for whatever the Rockies are going to do of hey, I don't know what decisions you might need to make if when Freeman comes back or if certain guys come back. I'm doing it all right here. I was fascinated by that, and he ends up being a triple away from the cycle. And in this ball game, he plates. Let me make sure I get the right number here. I got the box score. He plates 2 in that game, including being the Rockies' lone home run, but hits that home run right when the Rockies needed it too. In the sense of, even though the Rockies built up that lead, taking that 8-3 lead going into the 6th, you knew in the back of your mind, or at least I was in there. This is a really good offense still. This is an Astros team that's got a lot of weapons and are going to be a big problem. And that's what happens, right? The Astros score a run, they cut the lead, they take a bite out of the lead. But then for Johnston to come back and hit that home run, that's exactly the type of follow-up. To beat great teams like the Astros, it takes going round for round against them. And luckily the Rockies had the big enough performance in that 5th inning to carry them throughout the rest. But when you have those big moments, when the offense can clutch up and can perform with the runners in scoring position, you give yourself that wiggle room to win a wacky Coors Field game like this. Because did the Astros go away? No, they most certainly did not. The Astros, there was no lead was going to feel safe in this one. The Astros were answered right back continuously by scoring in the 7th and in the 8th. 2 runs in the 8th there before the Rockies shut the door in the 9th, going 1-2-3. We're going to talk about the pitching coming up in segment number 2 here, focus more specifically on the bullpen here coming up. But 2 errors by Houston that end up being, I think the second error was not as costly, but sets up a situation in the 8th there where you could have added on and done some more damage. You were given opportunities where the shortstop there misplays, not only the misplay that actually was the error, but kind of took the wrong step or the wrong reaction as I can't remember who shot that one up the middle of the infield there. It was all happening very fast and very aggressive. That's the potential right there. When and one thing I think that's what we're hoping to see from time to time, and that's what we need to see the Rockies recreate. You're not going to recreate 8-run innings all the time, but solid 2-out approaches that pay out and punish guys that are struggling. The Astros bullpen, the offense might be great, but the Astros bullpen coming into there, I was shocked to see their bottom in baseball to start the season here. And the Rockies punished them on a day that was scheduled to be a bullpen day. Now, they did get length and things didn't get as bad as it could have gotten for the Astros bullpen when they were really pressuring Weiss there. But the Rockies didn't really finish that job. But I'm not gonna poke. I'm not gonna take away from a really phenomenal inning, and it's one where a lot of the damage was done with 2 outs as well. It's the way the game works. It's why baseball is so weird sometimes, and I talk about this a lot too. If you've listened to the show for a long time, I talk a lot about just kind of the weirdness and the elements of baseball that are just hard to explain. Sometimes things just start moving in the right direction there. As Troy Johnston throws up the shrug, which is now going to be a wonderful gif for the Rockies and the rest of the season, basically. That's what you got to do. And it wasn't just Troy Johnston there. Julian has himself a nice day of leading off with 2 hits, 2 RBI there. Mickey Moniak picks up a hit. Hunter Goodman a run scoring hit there with an RBI. TJ Rumfield 2 hits as well, and some great snags at first base. He had 2 RBI in this one. A great day at the dish for Willie Castro. He had some great swings there. Brenton Doyle not getting there with the hit, but was able to get on with the walk and bottom. And Kyle Karros, man, the broadcast does bring this up. He does take a lot of pitches. It wasn't the most ideal for them, and I believe he had a strikeout. I can't remember if it was 1 strikeout or 2 strikeouts in this one, but man, he does make him work for it. He is a tough bat up there, and he is one that spoils and fights off a lot of pitches. Because, man, what I as much as it was great to see the Rockies offense do what they did in this one, watching Houston's offense, that's the dream of how you want the Rockies to approach. You want guys to be able to just spoil stuff, hit for power, drive up pitch counts. I know I've said that about a few teams. We talked about the Blue Jays, right? Doing a very, very similar thing. But that is what the Astros lineup and what they're able to do. And if you look at the box score of those guys too, I mean, a phenomenal day at the dish for those guys. But they're just every at bat was tough. It just felt like the Rockies pitchers, as they have throughout most of the season, but especially against this lineup, they were really demonstrating why they were why they're their top offense right now. Just great at bats, spoiling pitches, fighting off the tough stuff, and then when there was mistakes, they certainly punished it, and they did so quickly. It's amazing watching these good teams, these good offensive units that are able to go from, hey, let's work the count, take the patience, to that aggression. And I know the Rockies are trying to find that balance as well, but it's just amazing that guys can turn, really just flip that switch and just really do some damage here. As how many Astros had multi-hit games here? Pena had a multi-hit game. Altuve had a multi-hit game. Christian Walker had a multi-hit game. Cam Smith having a multi-hit game, and Jake Myers as well having a multi-hit game. Big difference between the two offenses. The Rockies kept Yordan Alvarez off the board here. 0 for 4 with a walk in this ball game. Loved the decision to walk him late in that game. That's why getting the out before him was huge. Walk him. It's don't let the guy that's beating everybody beat you, especially when you had that open bag and it ends up working out for the Rockies there, as their offense is the one that outslugs and survives. And again, only one home run in this one too. It was putting the ball in play. It was doubles. It was singles. It was bunts. I mean, oh my goodness. Again, that Troy Johnston bunt was phenomenal. Again, one of the best offensive performances you can have at the yard. A beauty of a bunt single. You get a great double that goes off the bag, and you hit a big fly. It doesn't get much better than that. All right. We talked about the offense. Let's see if they can they can do it again, as the Rockies are in a position to make this a 500 homestand here. Now, if they can just win one of these two ball games here, and we'll talk about the matchups coming up in segment number 3. But segment number 2, it's all about the pitching. Let's talk about it coming up next. Before we do that, though, got to tell you about the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes FanDuel. Folks, it is playoff time. Yes, playoff time for not only the NBA, but the NHL, and every possession matters. Every matchup is magnified, and every game can swing a series. And right now, FanDuel is giving new customers a great way to get in on the action. And, folks, you there in the Denver area are in a pretty good spot. When you're talking about two teams hoping to make a bunch of noise in the playoffs, you can see it all for yourself. All the actions there for not only the Denver Nuggets, but you also got the Colorado Avalanche as well. You can bet just $5 and get $250 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. So set yourself up for the playoffs by just doing something super simple, like, I don't know, the Nuggets making the playoffs. If you could still get it on that, you can do that. You get your bonus bets, and then you got your bonus bets to use for the playoffs. The app makes it easy to follow the action with player stats, trends, and matchups all in one place. It just makes the entire playoff experience more engaging from start to finish. And don't forget, there's still baseball action going on there too. Rockies futures available for you as well. If you're feeling confident about the Rockies winning a couple of ball games here at the start of the season, maybe go see what that over-under on the win total is. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to get started. FanDuel, play your game. Back at it here for segment number 2 of today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Thank you so much for making us your first listen of the day. Hey, go ad-free and hang out with us in the Everydayer Club Discord server, and you can celebrate baseball being back with a full month of the Everydayer Club for free. Go to LockedOnRockies.supercast.com, and you can check it out for yourself. You can also check out the link in the show notes below. Use the code FINALLY, and you're going to unlock every episode ad-free and get access to our private listener group chat. Tap the link in the show notes and use the code FINALLY to claim your free month. All right, Rockies offense, big time fifth inning here. And let me see if I can go do a quick social media scroll to see if we can get some stats here from our great Rockies media folks. Here's a good one from Blake Street Banter. The Rockies take the series opener against Houston in a classic Coors game and are 4-6. The 2025 Rockies won their fourth game on April 22nd to bring their record to 4-18. I mean, that's what we have to remember about why the Rockies winning ball games to start the year matters, is because of how horrendous not only the whole year was, but especially the start of the year. That's going to be a retweet there. Skylar Timmons. In 2025, the Rockies didn't win consecutive games until June when they defeated the Marlins on June 2nd and 3rd. Progress continues to be made as they just defeated the Phillies and the Astros in back-to-back games here in early April. I'm going to see if there's anything else. Actually, there was a tweet from Patrick Lyons here that we'll dive into in segment number 3. Stay tuned for that, and it has to do with attendance. In case you're curious about that, we'll have to talk about that. But before we dive into all of that, gotta talk about the Rockies pitching staff here. Again, when I talk about this Ryan Feltner start being okay, this is to be expected for a Rockies starter going up against a good team, especially a great offense. Really, anywhere, Coors Road, whatever. The Rockies starters, they have that window of keep the game, get to the 5th, ideally the 6th, and keep the game within 4 runs. When the Rockies starters can reach that criteria, the Rockies are in a position to win the ball game. And that's what Ryan Feltner did today. And thank goodness when things started getting a little murky, because again, this was an Astros offense that threatened the entire game. I don't think they had many, if any. The ninth inning might have been one of few 1, 2, 3 innings that the Astros had in the entire ball game. But when you're Ryan Feltner, to navigate that, mixed in with having a guy like Jimmy Herget that you can bring in that can stabilize the game where it was at, navigate the trouble, navigate the hassle of having runners on, deal with the, you give up the sac fly, but keep it, again, you keep it tight, and the Rockies offense allowing that cushion. That's the team working in tandem right there, right? I mean, it's to beat good teams, you have to all work together. And that's what the Rockies did. And Zach Agnos, unfortunately, continues to struggle. And it hasn't been a great start for him here so far to start the season. But the good news is it is still early, and he had backup. The Rockies bullpen continues to be a bright spot as Juan Maia comes in there 1 2/3, no hits, 1 walk, and gets the strikeout and gets a 1-2-3 inning there in the 9th. Against still the heart of the order. I believe it was 4, 5, 6 that the Rockies faced in the bottom of the 9th there. So you have to. It's not always going to be pretty for the Rockies pitching staff. You're gonna and you're gonna face trouble. You're gonna face adversity as a Colorado Rockies pitcher. And today, with the exception of Agnos, the Rockies rose to the occasion. The Rockies pitching once again did enough to keep them in the ballgame. They took their lumps, right? But it's within the context again of that's a good offense. But when you are the team that makes Coors Field the miserable place, and the Astros were miserable out there today, the Rockies made it so that baseball game, despite the performance from the Astros, was not fun. There was a lot of frustrated body language out there for the Astros in that one. 2 errors in that game, especially, and just some weird stuff and bad breaks. A ball going off of what are you going to do about a ball going off second base, right? My point is these games are going to be common, But that's why it's so important for the Rockies offense to take the steps forward to make up for the fact that this pitching staff is going to get challenged. But so far this year, the Rockies pitching staff has been up for the challenge more often than not. There are exceptions to this, certainly. But the bullpen, for sure, and the starters. There are exceptions. There are a couple of outliers, certainly. But remember what I just said about when the Rockies won consecutive games. Not until June of last year. The Rockies didn't win 4 games until they had lost nearly 20 games last year. That is improvement, because we cannot forget the talent of teams that the Rockies are playing right now too. Every win that the Rockies get to open this season is going to be a good win, because these are good teams the Rockies are playing. So again, obviously a bummer for that Agnos has had a couple of back-to-back tough spots. But it's not going to be full-blown panic mode for me right now at the beginning of the season with everybody still, heating up. Hopefully this is a great sign of what's to come, that when things really start moving in the season, when everybody's in a groove, that the Rockies are able to shift into that next gear. Because through 10 games, you're having a lot more fun and you're enjoying watching the Rockies a lot more through 10 games this year than you were last year. Long road ahead, long season ahead. There's still going to be plenty of bumps along the road, and there's still going to be plenty of things that are going to go wrong, because it's baseball. But the Rockies have shown us through 10 games, small sample size, that they can win a slugfest like this. They can win a game like this. Put yourself back in last year and say, Rockies down 4 runs, 3-4 runs by the 3rd inning. Did you really think the Rockies had a position to come back? And you're asking yourself the same question tonight too. Oh boy, here we go. Good team comes into town. They're getting after it. They got a crooked number up on the board. Rockies are striking out a bit. The Rockies aren't doing anything with runners in scoring position. Boom. They answer the call, and they do something that took them forever to do last season. A step in the right direction and a chance to win the series against the Astros now, and you got 2 shots at it. You'll take that, absolutely. All right, I want to read an interesting tweet here from Patrick Lyons about the Rockies game on Monday. Plus, we'll get your comments, all that and more, coming up on today's episode of Locked On Rockies.
Hey, this is Jeff Carr from Locked On Reds, and when it comes to our futures, we all have great ideas when it comes to our job, when it comes to our house, when it comes to our vehicles, all that great stuff. But honestly, when it comes to securing that future, I don't know what I don't know. And when me and my wife sat down to figure out the life insurance thing, Ethos made everything simple. Everything's online, you have a quick and easy application process, and you find out exactly what you need for coverage all in one spot. Ethos makes everything so convenient when it comes to learning about your own life insurance, because insurance is something that is far beyond batting average or on-base percentage. It's way out in left field for me. Ethos made it all easy. Take just 10 minutes and get covered today with life insurance through Ethos. Get your free quote at ethos.com/lockedonmlb. That's ethos.com/lockedonmlb. Application times may vary and rates may vary.
All right, welcome back in here to Locked On Rockies, segment number 3 here. And I told you that I was going to read a tweet from Patrick Lyons, and do with this information as you will, especially consider the weather, consider the time of year, and consider the fact that the Nuggets were in town playing as well. So here, it's actually 2 tweets. Opening weekend attendance at Coors Field for the Colorado Rockies was up 5,340 per game ever. The first 3 games of the season over the first 3 games of last season. Only the two 2025 ALCS clubs, Toronto Blue Jays and Seattle Mariners, have experienced a higher increase in home attendance at this early stage. All right, I know what you're going to say. Here's this follow-up, though. Patrick Lyons also says this. Despite early increased attendance, Rockies experienced the lowest attended home game in franchise history, excluding pandemic restriction months from 2021. The 16,301 for Monday night versus Houston eclipses the previous all-time low, 18,119 from September 22nd, 2005 versus San Diego. This team, hey, we just spent a lot of the episode, it hyped up after a win, talking about the good stuff, talking about some of the issues here. But it still goes to show you that this team has a long way to go when it comes to gathering and grabbing the attention of this town, especially at this time of the year. The Rockies might have some more intrigue, and when the weather's great, give you a reason to go downtown. But let me just do real quick here. Temperature. So, all right, 50 degrees. So it was a chilly night, cloudy night. School's still in session as well. Plus, like I said, we got the Nugs on playing in Denver as well. But I do think though that opening weekend, those numbers, obviously mixed in with the fact that they were Philly fans and a lot of them. I think eyebrows have been raised about the Rockies here. But it'll be interesting to see if these trends continue, because even the Rockies scraping a couple of wins together, beating some teams here and there, I don't think that's going to be enough to move the needle for a lot of people. I think the Rockies will be fine when it comes to these attendance stuff come summertime, as they often are, and when teams everyone starts traveling. But I thought that was interesting. What are your reactions to hearing lowest attended game of all time, for the pandemic aside, at Coors Field? And the fact that it was still 16,000, because some teams would still love to have 16,000. It's amazing. It's amazing the attendance differences across baseball there, but a little bit of an eye-opener. I'm still kind of processing what that means to me, but I'm not really all that surprised when you got two playoff teams in town. School is still in session. It's not spring break yet, I don't think, or it might be around spring break time. I can't remember when all the calendars line up, because my wife's on spring break right now. So who am I to say? But anyway, and just an interesting note there from Patrick on that one there. But all right, Rockies here. We had a lot of comments here, so let's go through a couple of them. Perkins says it's a problem with Hunter too. Don't worry, I think they'll find their stride and we do great. I hope that's true when it comes to the Rockies. Straighten out the strikeouts there. Adam says the hitting takes longer to catch up to the pitching at the beginning of the season. Mickey Moniak seems to be catching up. Yeah, that is true. Everything, it is still super early. I mean, 10 games into a season is still a very, very small sample there for the Rockies and everybody, really. Nick says, aside from the obvious 100 lost seasons, the strikeouts have been the most infuriating part of watching the Rocks the last couple of years. Not putting the ball in play, you aren't giving yourself a chance to do anything. Can't be that hard to just take a few more pitches and strike out 9 or less times as a team. I mean, the thing that is always interesting being a baseball podcaster, especially one that, was not on any sort of a, competitive, my highest level was not a very competitive high school team, to be like, hey, stop striking out, hit the ball. But they are professional hitters. That is that is their job, right? But golly, would it be difficult? But I agree. They have to be better, and they have to start lowering the strikeouts to less than 9 per game. They got to get that number under double digits here, as it has been a problem. In the win, the Rockies still strike out 9 times, but they survived the slugfest and get a nice. That's a good win. That is a good win. It's not perfect, but to win 9-7, to have the big inning there, to beat a good team, to defend the home turf, that's a good day at the ballpark, and it's a good night to be a Rockies fan. And it might be, we take it one night at a time. this season, right? That's what we do. And we'll be breaking it down each night for you here on Locked On Rockies. Thank you so much for making us your first listen of the day. We are free and streaming on your favorite streaming services and on YouTube. Be part of the show like so many of you are. Couldn't get to all the comments today, but we'll be sure to I'll keep revisiting them throughout the week there. So don't worry. We'll still be talking Rocks here with you guys in the Locked On Rockies YouTube comment section. For your second listen of the day, go check out Locked On MLB, Locked On MLB Game Night, the Back to the Bullpen podcast. Lots of Major League Baseball action for you there on that channel. Plus, we got you covered with Locked On Broncos, Avalanche, Nuggets, and Buffs, all free and streaming on your favorite streaming services. Until next time, I'm Paul Holden saying so long from the Locked On Rockies podcast.